All right, Miss Teresa.
Thank you. I feel like I have my back to you. I'm sorry. I like having my back to people. I'm Teresa Shepard, and from Care to You Oral Care Administrative Services, we provide oral care to people that don't have means or access. And we have a big event coming up on August 19th. Some of you already know about it. It's got a lot of moving parts. First thing is a motorcycle poker chip run, starting at Fred's Firearms in Oakdale, registration 9 o'clock, and then we're going to end up at the VFW out on Hatch Road. That is where the event is going to be from 10 to 5. We are honoring veterans, first responders, and their families. It is open to the public. We are providing oral care services, medical screenings, and vision services that day. So if you have anybody, like I said, it's open to the public. I'm not turning anybody away that needs help. Get them out there early if they need services. Gates open at 10. I suggest they be in line at 10 so they can get things going. And thank you for Megan at Truewood. She sponsored the event. I'm still looking for sponsors, donations. We're nonprofit. You guys all know how that works. So, and this is a big event, and I'm appreciative of any support we can get. So let me know if you are interested in anything at all. Thank you so much.
And thank you so much for stepping out and stepping up and taking on something to serve, right? I think that's huge. So anybody else have any announcements they want to make? Anybody? No? Okay, perfect.
Jeannie has an announcement for Bristol Hospice.
Okay, on Zoom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bristol Hospice has their bingo that is going to be for seniors, and it is going to be, hold on a second, I have the flyer. It is going to be from 10 a.m. until I believe it is 1 p.m. And they're also doing CEU classes, just to let you know that as well. And I posted the link on Facebook. So, but the bingo, oh, I can't find it. Of course I can't find it while I'm being pressured. So anyways, it's in August. I think it's the 27th.
Oh, perfect. That's my birthday.
So, and it's going to be.
Anybody want to write that down?
Let me look that down. Let me look on the calendar because it's free to seniors. So please invite any and all seniors to it. I don't know if Monica and Luana are there today, but they are also who have openings for some vendors that can have a booth at it, which is pretty great. And it is going to be, sorry, I'm going through my calendar. It is August. Okay, well, I don't know because it's not showing up on my calendar. I am so sorry. But anyways, it is coming up. I posted it on our Facebook account. And yeah, they're looking for vendors, and it's going to be a pretty neat event. It's going to be held there in series at the normal bingo hall. So please invite any moms, dads, grandmas, grandpas that would benefit. They're going to do several games. They're going to provide lunch, and then there's going to be prizes as well.
Perfect. Wonderful. Thank you, Miss Jeannie.
You're welcome.
And Amy, I'm seeing 5 comments on chat on Zoom. Is there anybody in the chat who's saying they want to maybe share any information? Okay, good. All right. So Miss Jeannie, she manages, monitors, and provides content for our social media page on Facebook. So any events that maybe you didn't announce today, you want to make sure everybody knows about, make sure to send that to her. She'll get that posted on Facebook for us. And so we're going to move into our speaker today. And I just want to thank Jim for speaking today. There's a lot of misinformation about some of the content that he's going to be sharing with us today. And I think sometimes that you know, makes people start having maybe opinions about things that maybe they just don't understand. And so I just really appreciate you taking the time to make sure we fully understand how some of these programs can truly benefit our seniors with accurate information and facts. And so Jim Liberto is going to speak to us from Geneva Financial. He's here to share some of the creative and helpful ways for seniors to make the most of their hard-earned money in their retirement years and enjoy the possibility of living in their homes for as long as possible. So welcome, Jim.
Use this.
Yeah, I think.
Just turn this off.
Okay, yeah, please. Thank you, Joyce. I appreciate it, and I appreciate the opportunity to be able to be here with you all today. Just a very quick background on me. I have been in the mortgage business for over 40 years, so I am a senior, actually. My specialty, and I want to say I can do anything in the mortgage business, but I really appreciate and I have a passion for reverse mortgages. Our senior citizens are being pummeled from every direction, between the high cost of eggs to paying $2 or almost $5 for gasoline, and what doesn't go up is their benefits. So using a reverse mortgage as a bridge or to make one's golden years more golden is what I'm trying to help people with, and to perhaps be able to afford a lot of the services that you guys provide. I know many of you are nonprofits. I'm in the mortgage business. I'm nonprofit too since last year. But hopefully that will change. At some point in time, though, our seniors again are getting squeezed, and we don't like that. So anyway, that's the deal, and that's how we'll get started. Can I just ask a few questions? Is who's here today? Are most of the audience in-home healthcare providers? Is anybody who's in-home healthcare takes care of our seniors and that type of thing? Most everybody? Okay. How about any seniors here that just came because I posted a thing on the flyer? I have a past client of mine who's my friend, neighbor down the street, came up here to visit with me. Raj, thank you for coming today. Raj is over 62, but he's not ready yet for a reverse mortgage. We've talked about it for sure. So thanks for coming, Raj. Any say realtors? I know that there's a couple of realtors here, friends of mine from the real estate business. Joyce is a realtor, Shelly. So I thank you guys for coming. You certainly are in the trenches every day for sure. Other professionals at different fields, anybody else that haven't talked about, or financial planner? We appreciate that. You certainly can help our insurance for providing insurance for our seniors. So we certainly appreciate everybody who's here. Okay. So thanks for telling me who you are. If you have questions, there'll be a few minutes for questions after we get started. Or if there's something you don't understand that I talk about, please feel free to tell us, and we'll see if we can figure that out. Okay, so for the first part, or the first slide, and there's 12 slides. There's only 12 slides. It won't take very long. But I definitely think that, these are probably 12 of the most important slides you're going to see ever. So, to take on and pass on to your clients and that type of thing. Very important. Okay. We got to make it go. We have to make it go. Turn it on and okay, we have to make it go. We have to make it go.
Let me see if I can help you. Otherwise, I'll get the IT guy.
Yeah, I get it. He showed me. See, I'm a senior. This does not work. My father had a computer. All he did with it was play blackjack all day. Every day he played blackjack on his computer.
So it's showing up on here. Oh, you share the screen.
We are short. Oh, yeah, I'm going to go to 1. Okay, thanks. Sorry, guys. I want to turn off the Zoom, people. That would not be good if we turn Zoom off. Yep. I just got to click here. Oh, I see why. That's the one I want to start with. One.
So now, there we go. And you should be able to use that as well.
Okay, I'll do the thing. Okay. Okay, so senior citizens, if in case you didn't know, they're struggling. Most of them are on fixed incomes. They, based on inflation, costs are continually going up for things like groceries, fuel, utilities, healthcare, insurance, everything else. Many seniors are having to choose between buying food or filling their prescriptions. Social Security can be helpful, like Dial-A-Ride or Meals on Wheels, but there tends to be a substantial gap between need and availability. So what happens when a senior citizen gets sick or needs in-home health care? There are some benefits to reverse mortgages that can actually help fill that gap. If a senior were to get a reverse mortgage, they would never have to make a principal and interest payment unless you want to. You're certainly allowed to, and it can be encouraged. Seniors can access funds and the equity in their homes in a few different ways. They can stop making payments. That's the biggest way to make that happen. They can procure a line of credit if they wanted to buy a car or give some money to a son or grandson for college. They can do that. Instead of making house payments, which is what a forward mortgage is, that probably you and I have forward mortgages, a reverse mortgage actually can pay you on a monthly basis. So depending on the senior's age, you can have your house send you a check every month for $300 or $400 or whatever the cost of insurance would be or that type of thing. So that can go on for as long as the senior citizen lives. And the seniors can use the funds for whatever they need. They can go to Vegas, hop in the shuttle and go to Vegas and double it, but that's probably not going to happen. They can make their golden lives more golden. And that's kind of what we want to do. We want to let them have a comfortable life without having to make a mortgage payment. Reverse mortgages are borrowed money, so they don't affect Social Security or Medicare income limitations. You aren't earning money of a reverse mortgage, you're borrowing it. And that's a big misconception is everybody wants to know, hey, do I have to pay tax on this money? You do not. You do not have to pay tax. It's kind of like being in the mortgage business. You don't make any money and you don't have to pay taxes. So unique to reverse mortgages, a loan is equity driven. So borrowers with lower income or not so good credit scores can still get approved. I'm working with a client right now who has credit scores below 580. That won't be a problem. They will be able to get a reverse mortgage. Loan is typically an FHA or a HUD insured loan. So it is regulated by the Department of Housing and Urban Development of the U.S. government. Seniors have to be counseled by a HUD approved appraiser before we go very far down the road, just to make sure that there is no senior abuse, that the senior in question has all of their marbles, that there's no dementia involved, that there's no family members that are trying to take the money and go to Vegas and double it. That's not going to happen. So they have to be counseled to make sure that they know what they're doing and what they're getting into. And obviously you don't need to make any payments of principal and interest, but you can if it helps you for financial planning purposes. And some people don't realize that you can do that. And if you do pay a reverse mortgage down, you always have access to the money that you pay down the road. There are rules for getting reverse mortgages. The rules are few. There's really only 4, but there is no wiggle room with those. First of all, a borrower has to be 62 years of age or older. Well, there's a little wiggle room there because they can be 61 and a half, and we can kind of make that work. But based on numbers that when we give them proposals, will be based on the youngest borrower. So if you have 2 borrowers and one is 62 and one is 60, the 60-year-old would also qualify, and we would base our numbers based on the youngest one. Now, that's something that's changed since the 1980s when reverse mortgages first started. If you weren't 62, you couldn't be entitled to your husband's house or your wife's house, and you had to wait to turn 62 to get put on to that, so that you, if something happened to your husband or your wife, you basically might up losing the house or having to sell the house because you weren't on title. That's not the way it is now. I've done many transactions where the youngest borrower was actually put on title at the very beginning, and if anything happens to the older one, the younger one gets to stay there for the rest of their lives. The borrower must live in their property and treat it as their primary residence. There are a lot of borrowers, however, that live in California for 6 months and live in, Colorado or somewhere cool or whatever for 6 months. That's completely allowed as long as you claim that you live in your house here in California for 6 months and 1 day every year. So you can be what they call snowbirds. I think my in-laws were from New Hampshire, and they would vacation between New Hampshire and Florida. Not a problem with a reverse mortgage. Borrowers must maintain the home in a good, livable, safe condition. But we certainly want all of our seniors to be able to live in good, safe conditions. And so by having a reverse mortgage and not making principal and interest payments, they can keep the yard up, and they can keep the mold away, and they can, keep the house painted so that there's no peeling paint. That's what we want. And borrowers must continue to pay their property taxes and their fire insurance themselves, because typically with a reverse mortgage, seniors aren't making mortgage payments. And so there's no impound account to take care of that. So property taxes come due twice a year in April and December, and fire insurance comes due on the anniversary of when the policy was put into inception. And the seniors are still responsible for those payments. So they're getting rid of principal and interest, but they still have to pay their taxes and insurance. There are some myths. Reverse mortgages have changed a lot since the 1980s. They were put into place under President Reagan. Actually, the first one was a few years before that on the East Coast, where a banker was trying to keep his high school coach's wife in their family house, and he started the first one through a bank in, I believe it was Vermont or New Hampshire. But since then, it's changed a lot. President Reagan got the feds, the Housing and Urban Development, to make it a government program or a government insured program, and the rest is history. But in the beginning, people always tell me, hey, I don't want to do a reverse mortgage. The bank takes my home. Bank doesn't take your home unless you don't do any of the 4 rules we've talked about. The home is yours. It's always vested to you or to your trust, or however you want it vested. The bank records a deed, but the bank never takes your home unless you don't live there, unless you don't pay your taxes, or unless you park a diesel truck in the living room. They don't like that. So we don't want that. If you die or become incapacitated, the bank takes your home. Bank does not take your home as long as you have equity in the property. If you can't live there and you don't have a spouse that can live there, you can sell your home. There's always going to be equity, or most of the time there's always going to be equity in a reverse mortgage, because even though we start off making a loan and the balance continues to go up and up and up because you're not making a mortgage payment, the value of your property also goes up and up and up, unless we have a 2008, 2009, and we'll talk about that in a second too. But for the most part, you are always going to have some equity in the home to pass on as a legacy to your kids, grandkids, whoever you want in church, whoever you want to give it to. You will eventually owe more money than your house is worth. And again, I just explained that. That's probably not going to happen unless we have a mortgage meltdown like we did in the 2008-2009 year, another year where mortgages were nonprofit for sure, 2008-2009. So you will eventually owe more money than your house is worth. Not going to happen. Your house is always going to be worth more money than the reverse mortgage. You can't sell or refinance your home if it has a reverse mortgage on it. That is a big myth. Let's say you decide to move to Colorado and you want to sell your home, and there's lots of equity there, but you have a reverse mortgage on the property. It's exactly the same as a forward mortgage. You contact the great realtor, you put a sign on the property, you sell it. You get the net benefit of whatever's left between what you sell your house for and what you owe on the reverse mortgage. Now, the reverse mortgage, you're going to owe more than when you first started because the balance has gone up and up, but your house value has also gone up and up. You can take that money and you could perhaps get another reverse mortgage in Colorado, or you could do a forward mortgage in Colorado, or you can put the money in the bank and go rent an apartment if that's what you want to do as a senior citizen. You actually can use a reverse mortgage to buy a house, and there aren't a ton of realtors that are taking advantage of that. We can talk about that at the end too if you'd like to. Your heirs can't keep your house when something happens to you. Wrong, wrong, wrong. For one thing, there's tons of equity there that have to go somewhere. So let's say mom and dad unfortunately have to go into one of your facilities and the house is vacant or nobody's living there. The heirs have the opportunity to sell the property or to put a forward mortgage on the property. They would have to qualify, obviously, to put a forward mortgage on it, but they can sell it if that's what you've given them authority to do in your trust or your will. So that's something that's never gonna happen. Thanks. I got water. Yep, thank you. If for whatever reason we have a 2008, 2009, and the property value is upside down, it's not going to happen. But once in the last 50 years, we had that situation where property values dropped by 60%. Even a reverse mortgage isn't going to help you there. But let's just say you're upside down for whatever reason. Your estate, your children, grandchildren, whatever, can buy the family home at 95% of the appraised value at the time. So the feds want the family, if they want to keep the home, to be able to buy it. There would be no realtor involved, so they don't have to pay a real estate commission. So they offer the home to you at 95% of the appraised value. So before you even go out the door, your family and generational people that can buy your home or buy the family home for less than what the market value is. Again, win-win. Your estate has to pay more if your house is worth less than the balance of the loan. That's not true. Nobody ever comes knocking on your kid's door or your grandkid's door and say, hey, your house sold for $100,000 less than what the balance was. I need you to write a check. When you get a reverse mortgage, the federal government charges the borrower mortgage insurance. It's a one-time fee. It amounts to 2% of the appraised value. So if you have a $500,000 house, they're going to charge you $10,000 for mortgage insurance. One-time fee because you're not making monthly payments. If something happens and there is a negative balance on the property, the estate, your parents' estate, will not have to pay anything. It's paid by the mortgage insurance company, and the estate is, again, not liable for that at all. You have to live in your house year round. You don't. We just talked about being able to vacation in Colorado for 6 months a year. As long as you make the house your primary residence, put it on your tax returns, or that's where your Social Security benefit 1099 goes, people are going to believe that you live there. Everybody in the home and on the loan has to be 62 years of age. We discussed that. That's not true. One of you has to be 62 years of age. And then lastly, you have to have good credit to get a reverse mortgage. Not the case. You can have had mortgage lates. I mean, the whole point of a reverse mortgage is to help seniors have a better life. If they're struggling, and we can see that they're struggling, it is not unexpected that some of them will have low credit scores. So credit is not an issue. Equity is an issue in regards to mortgage. Okay, there are other reasons to use reverse mortgages. Obviously, you can use a reverse mortgage for financial planning. Anna knows this, but for the most part, every year that a senior citizen collects Social Security, from year to year, from 65 to 66 to 67, they get a cost of living increase of about 8%, just under 8%. But let's say you use a reverse mortgage for 3 years and you don't turn on the cash flow for 3 years. And you're 65, your client says, I can wait. I have a reverse mortgage. I can get the same amount of money tax-free. I'm going to wait 3 years. So they use their reverse mortgage for 3 years and they turn on a cash flow and they get the same thing that they would have gotten from Social Security. 3 years later, they're getting 24% more from Social Security for the rest of their life. Now, that's a pretty good financial benefit for financial planning for a senior who's living on a very fixed income. We've just made their income 24% more. You can use a reverse mortgage to purchase a property. You can use a reverse mortgage for tax planning. There are clients that have, huge IRAs, that now is the time that, people don't have pensions anymore. They have individual retirement accounts. So let's say somebody's saved money and put it in a retirement account and they're getting ready to retire. They can use a reverse mortgage to convert their regular IRA into a Roth IRA, which grows tax-free. Well, if it grows tax-free, when they get ready to pull it out, both the principal and the gain are tax-free. Again, a tax planning strategy that financial planners know how to make happen. And see Anna for that. She's a financial planner. She'll take care of you at the door. In this world, there are a lot of seniors that sometimes don't get along real well, but they can't do anything about it. They have to live in the same property. They have to, they have no other means to do anything else. Well, with a reverse mortgage, if one of them is 62, they can buy out the other one and never have to make a mortgage payment. And the best part about that is you probably wouldn't even have their property taxes increased, because you just do a refinance and pay off the other one to get out of the house. Doesn't happen all the time, but we're seeing more and more senior divorces. So this gives them an opportunity to do something like that. Or if one of the two are going to be going into a board and care facility, again with financial planning, and maybe it would be better for them to be divorced and not have any income and any assets. It can be structured using a reverse mortgage to fix that situation. You can give a large gift to a child or grandchild and never have to worry about paying it back. Wouldn't it be nice for your clients to be able to put their grandkids through college or help their son or daughter buy their first home and never have to make a mortgage payment, or never have to make a payment on that, never have to worry about it? Why do we always wait? And it happened to me too. My parents passed away about 7 or 8 years ago when they had a ton of stuff. We didn't need anything, but for the most part, if they could have given stuff to us before, we might have been able to do more, buy more things, make more things, whatever. If you want to give a gift to a son, to a parent, or to a child or a grandchild, you can do that with a reverse mortgage, and you'd never have to increase a monthly payment. In fact, a lot of times you can lower your monthly payment to make that happen. And of course, senior citizens, if they don't have a mortgage payment and maybe they're getting payments on their home, they can do things they never would have been able to do. They can take trips. They can just make their golden years a little bit more golden, and pay for medical expenses, pay for prescriptions. There's just a lot of things that they could do if senior citizens weren't making principal and interest payments. So who can use a reverse mortgage? We've talked about some of the rules, but homeowners 62 years of age with equity who run out of money before they run out at the end of the month. That's where most of the business comes from nowadays. Seniors who are getting ready to retire and want to maximize their benefits. Those seniors, certainly we've talked a couple of ways to maximize your benefits in retirement. It's not so much how much income that you have in retirement, it's how much tax-free income that you have in retirement, because the government's going to take theirs unless you stop them from doing that. Seniors who want to pay as little tax as possible. Who likes to pay taxes? I don't pay taxes now, but who likes to pay taxes? I mean, it just goes toward wars in Ukraine and stuff like that. So for the most part, nobody likes to pay taxes. If seniors who have a large down payment but want to buy more of a home than they can afford on paper, this is a great segue into seniors who might want to buy a house. Let's say they've right-sized, they're in the process of right-sizing, and they sell the family home, and they say, look, I want a nice home in a different area close to where my kids are or whatever, but I can't afford a $500,000 home in Sonora or wherever the case may be. But I've got $300,000. I sold my house. I have a net of 300,000. Well, a senior could take that 300,000 and they could buy a $500,000 property, never have to make a payment, live closer to their family, somebody who they would like to live closer to. So that would be an opportunity to use a reverse mortgage in regards to that. Seniors who want to give a gift of, or a legacy to their kids. You know, again, had I known 7 or 8 years ago before my parents passed away what I know now, my folks would have had a lot more money to do things with when they passed away. They were both well off. My mom was a grade school teacher for years, and my dad was a meat cutter with the Meat Cutters Union. And they had great pensions, and they had inherited property from my grandparents, and they had all kinds of stuff. They only owed $30,000 on their house in Los Angeles when they passed away. Had they gone and gotten a $600,000 reverse mortgage with no payment to them, obviously, they could have bought 3, 4, 5 other properties that would have gone up in value from the time that my dad was 62 to the time that he passed away at 84. So, you know, I could have had a whole bunch more stuff using a reverse mortgage that wouldn't have cost him at all. So, of course, my father was very conservative, but you know, that is one way to increase one's legacy on paper. Okay. What do you need to get started? Well, you know, what we're doing here for hopefully you people is to give seniors the opportunity to pay for your services. They have to have equity. They don't both have to live in the property. Let's say one is getting dementia, or one has to have constant care, or whatever it is. As long as one of them stays in the house, the other one can move into one of your facilities and use the reverse mortgage to pay you and to pay for the facilities. Depending on their state of mind, we need to get their driver's licenses and identification, Social Security card, obviously, proof that they can afford to pay their taxes and their insurance, which would be a pension or Social Security award letter, copy of their homeowner's insurance, copy of their current mortgage statement if we're paying it off and giving them a raise by not having them have a home mortgage. Most recent couple of bank statements to make sure they're not bouncing checks all over town, and where to put the money that comes from a reverse mortgage, and any kind of tax forms or Social Security proof for the last couple of years. That's important just because we don't want to put our seniors in a position where they're going to struggle. We want to make sure that whatever we do is based on sound, solid financial information, and they'll have to prove to us that they can afford to make their taxes and their payments and keep their property up. There are other people besides just you guys, and I'm sure that you have a vast array of network of people that you interact with on a daily basis. But there are other people besides you guys that can benefit from the knowledge of a reverse mortgage. There are in-home healthcare providers such as yourself, regular healthcare providers, you know, that perhaps somebody needed to have a procedure or an operation and their insurance doesn't cover it. Wouldn't it be nice to have a reverse mortgage pay that 20% deductible that the senior doesn't have the cash for? Financial planners. Obviously, we've just discussed a couple of different ways where we can increase a senior's income in retirement by working with a financial planner who knows what they're doing. Realtors, to be able to buy a property beyond the borrower's means, but not really beyond their means because they don't have to make a mortgage payment. They just wouldn't be able to afford the house that they want without using a reverse mortgage. Contractors. How many senior citizens do you know that need ADA improvements, that need wheelchair ramps, that need the shower hangers on? And my dad needed one of those before he passed away. Contractors like to get paid when they do work too. They don't have a nonprofit typically set up for contractors like mortgage people do. So contractors would like that. Bankers. I mean, obviously there are a lot of bankers in town, very few of them do reverse mortgages through a branch. It's just not something that you either have to be good at it or stay away from it, because senior citizens are obviously, God love them, they're harder to work with. They don't own computers. My dad had a computer. He played blackjack all day long on his computer, and it's all I did. He didn't even have internet. Didn't want internet, but he could play blackjack all by himself. He loved it. So if you know a banker, somebody this might be able to help, give them my information, my name and information. Benefits counselors, somebody who's going to tell a senior citizen when to turn on their Social Security, when to start drawing their benefits. If you can get your Medicare and not pull Social Security for a couple of years, they're going to be way better down the road. So those type of people would need somebody like me to help our senior citizens in their golden years. Okay, so I pulled a slide of things to know about our senior citizens. Most seniors want to stay home. They don't want to go into, unfortunately, in-home healthcare places. 88% of seniors nowadays want to stay in their own home where they feel comfortable. My dad did. He wasn't in the best of health, but we couldn't get him out of the house. He lived there for 60 years and he wasn't going anywhere. And my mom was good with that, and they worked really well together. A reverse mortgage can help a senior stay in place if they can't do that anymore. They can pay for in-home health care. They can pay for somebody to come in 3 or 4 days a week and cook for them and help save. They can work on the ADA stuff. A reverse mortgage is to help a senior in their golden years, to make their golden years more golden. That's what it's for. Okay, so this is me. This is how to get a hold of me. I have an 818 cell phone number, because if I changed my cell phone number, my kids would never call me. But so feel free to write this down. You can find me through Joyce or Amy. I am certainly accessible. I've been in Modesto for the last 10, 11 years. My mother-in-law lives in Waterford. So I certainly am around. I am licensed. I am honest. Honest people don't say that, but I really am honest. If I'm not going to do a loan just to go through the motions of doing a loan, I have to give a client a tangible benefit as to why I would want to do a loan for them. I enjoy working with our seniors. I will enjoy working with you. If you have groups of people that you would like me to talk to, maybe, cover some of this, I can gear this presentation for financial planners or in-home healthcare providers like this one, or realtors. If you have no realtors that would like to sell homes to seniors, I am available. I am in town, and I have a presentation I can take around. So does anybody have any questions? Anything that I've brought to light? Yes, ma'am. It's a counseling situation there. The senior would need to be counseled, the person over 62. But yes, if their trust is set up and there's durable power of attorney, and there's reasons behind that, yes, I've seen that happen. But it certainly would be a counseling issue. Our government is going to make sure that there is no senior abuse involved, that whoever set up to do that is not going to just take the money and run. I mean, it's very important that we're providing a more golden life for our seniors, not having their gold stolen. Amy. There is no minimum age. However, the numbers are based on the youngest of the applicants. So my wife is substantially younger than I am. I was such a catch, she thinks now. But if we were to go get a reverse mortgage and I'm 62, we would have to base everything on her numbers, which would put us in the 40s, right? So with her age being in the 40s, we wouldn't get quite so much money, or we wouldn't have quite so much ability to touch the equity, because they expect her to live till she's 100. At 62, they expect me to live till I'm 100. And the numbers are based on, actually the numbers are based to 110. Nobody's ever hit that yet with a reverse mortgage, but the numbers actually can show that you can live to 110. So somebody who's in their 70s only has 40 years to make that goal, whereas somebody who's in their 40s has 60 years to make their goal, and they get substantially less money. A child and a parent buying a property, or refinancing a property and putting a reverse on there together would probably not be a good idea. What would be a better idea, and again, to talk to a financial planner, would be to put the property into a trust, with the parent being the primary trustee and the child, the adult child, to be the secondary trustee. So if something happens to the beneficiary and the trustee, the kid still gets everything, but you don't have to then use the kid's numbers, you use the parents' numbers, because the goal is to get the most amount of cash available to be able to pay for in-home health care or pay for medical subscriptions and pay, but certainly having that as a trust, that would probably solve both those needs. Yes, sir. The bank has no obligation to get any money until some of the rules are broken. Can't live in the property anymore. Person dies. So if somebody dies, they can't live in the property anymore. They get dementia or a long-term cause that would prevent them from going back to the property. That would be where the bank would start looking around as to what's going on. Typically, the investor bank would give you about a year to do something after something happens. So let's say you have two people, they're both over 62, one of them gets dementia. That person has to go into a rest home. There's no possibility that they're going to go back and live by themselves. There's the not surviving spouse, but the residential spouse passes away. The bank would give you 6 months to give them a plan. Hey, what are you guys going to do? Are you going to list the property? Are you going to have the family refinance the property and do a forward mortgage? You've got about 6 months to put a plan into action. After 6 months, they're going to want to know, what was the plan? What did you guys do? After that, you have another 6 months to say, look, we're trying to get the property sold, but we've got estate issues. We have this crept up, or this lien popped up, or we've got cousin Mary that is claiming a part of the property and we're in court and whatever. Again, that's fine. As long as they know that we're working on something to make that happen. You've got about a year after the last person can no longer live in the property. Now, what if somebody falls and hurts their ankle or breaks a hip and they go into rehab? That clock does not start. The clock only starts when it's determined by a primary physician that they're not going to go back into the family home. There's absolutely a lien. In the same way there would be a lien on a forward mortgage, there's absolutely a lien on a reverse mortgage. And the reverse mortgage lien is typically 125% of what they borrow. So if they're borrowing, let's say $300,000, they're going to record a lien for 125% of $300,000. And I don't have the math here, but it's going to be larger than what they borrow. But that's only because the reverse mortgage gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and they don't want the senior to keep putting little liens on the property, or seconds or thirds or whatever. So that's not the case. That's not what happens. There's absolutely a lien recorded. Yes, sir. I can certainly give the slide. Absolutely. With my picture on it, though. I have to have my picture on it for sure. Yes. Sure. I've done that before up at, thanks. So thanks a lot. Sure, ask Amy or Joyce and I'll send it to them and they can forward it to you. Or if you would like me to give a presentation, I would be very happy to talk to senior clubs, Rotary, whatever that you think would be helpful for this. 12 slides. I mean, we could go on forever and ever, or I could focus it on something else, but this is really important, I think, for our seniors. Yes, ma'am. First of all, it's not 125%. Okay, that we record a lien for 125% to give everybody constructive knowledge that, hey, there's something different here than a regular mortgage. But you're never obligated to pay back the 125%. The way that the interest is accumulated, the way that the balance goes up and up, is the first month, there's, again, on a $250,000 loan, you're going to generate about $1,100, $1,200 in interest. So the next month you're going to owe $250,000 plus the $1,100. Next month it's going to be $1,100 more, and then $1,100 more after that, because you're not making any payments. The interest is still accruing, but it's expected to accrue over 30 or 40 years. So you're not going to owe 125% of what you borrow. You're going to owe the amount of interest that your parents have been able to, or your mother has been able to accumulate by not making any payments for the number of years that she's had the benefit of not making any payments. That's it. So your question was, what do you have to pay back? You have to pay back the principal that was borrowed and interest only that was accumulated during the period of time that she got to live there payment free. I can, if you want to talk up later about it, I can actually print up a presentation for your mother based on her age, and it shows every year what she's going to owe approximately, and then it's also going to show what the house is going to be worth based on normal appreciation at 3 or 4%. If it goes past that and they're still living there and still making payments and what? So they're 110 years old. If they get to be 110 years old, when something happens to them, if the house is upside down, and again, it's not, but if they live to be 110, the mortgage insurance will take care of whatever negative balance there is. So their estate never has to worry about making a mortgage payment. A lot of seniors use the line of credit aspect of a reverse mortgage to, if they know that if they have other property or they know that they're going to get a capital gain down the road or whatever, they get a reverse mortgage and then they just let the interest accrue and accrue and accrue. Then they sell another property, say a rental property maybe that they had, and they've got this big capital gain. Well, they pay on the reverse mortgage. When you pay down on a reverse mortgage, the interest is what is first, that you're going to get a 1099 for how much interest that you paid on your reverse mortgage, which can offset the income from the rental property that you sold. So, I mean, there are a lot of pieces of financial planning in regards to using a reverse mortgage. Okay, more questions. I haven't been stumped yet. Let's stump the band here. Anna?
Turn that equity into a bank account that they can access later on for whatever they need to, if they have a lot of IRA money and they think that they're going to have to pay taxes and they want to find ways to pull that into Roths, they use that money to pay the taxes. There's infinite ways to do it, but it's super smart to have your equity just in an account ready to go.
For the Zoomers, Anna was saying that a lot of people at 62, they go and get a reverse mortgage, even if they don't need it, so that they can use that money to help do their other financial planning, whether it's converting IRAs to Roth IRAs, whether it's paying taxes on capital gains on things that they have. There's typically 3 buckets of income in retirement. There's your pension that you've worked for and you've set aside, and that's one big bucket. The second bucket is your entitlements, your Social Security and, whatever you get. That's also a bucket. Now, of those two buckets, typically Social Security is mostly tax-free. The pensions may or may not be, depending on if you worked for a government entity or if you, worked for a big corporation and Tesla is sending you, money every month. But the third bucket, the reverse mortgage bucket or the equity in your home bucket, is many times an untouched bucket that could help the other two buckets to generate more income. Social Security by waiting to turn on the cash flow, using the reverse mortgage to make your pensions tax-free as an SEP IRA instead of a Roth IRA instead of a regular IRA. It's not so much how much you bring home or how much they send you in checks every month. It's how much do you have left at the end of the month to spend for groceries and for eggs and for healthcare. That's, I think, there's a book out called The Power of Zero. If you can pay zero tax on something, you have more money to spend at the casino. That's what seniors want to do. They want to go to the chicken ranch and they want to go to, that's what they want. My mother-in-law, if I could put her on a bus every week, she'd go to the chicken ranch and hang out there. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, Shelley. Sure.
So as our parents age and we're obviously younger than that, it's very important because they'll always have a trust in their house. If they don't have a trust on their house, maybe home where their healthcare is, there's certain things that can happen to that house. It may bills down the road. That's one. Two, if we're younger, it's very smart for us being a younger person to be on there as the co-trustee. In the event they do have dementia or any of that stuff, or something happens, there is no issues with the trust once that person passes away. The younger person is already there. So in the event that for our situation, my mother-in-law is 87, my husband's 67, 68. But he's now co-trustee on the trust because as a property, $600,000 property, completely paid off, but she's gonna have to have no. So with him being on there, because they can do reverse mortgage, they can do all of that stuff. He's power of attorney. So therefore, they can just do what needs to be done. Which will also help because there's 3 children that have to trust the property split up. One can't hold any money due to his special needs. The other 2 can't. So it's easier in that situation to look at age, the current person aging, and who's going to be that trustee on.
Well, I think it all comes down to planning. And like she says, if you don't plan, you're actually planning to fail. So for the most part, before retirement, before whatever, talk to the financial planners, get a trust, make sure that your financial purview is going to be positive. Unfortunately, right now, interest rates are high. I kind of have alluded to that. I'm just joking. I'm not a nonprofit. But for the most part, interest rates on residential homes a year ago were in the 3s, and now they're in the high 6s. The same things happen to reverse mortgages. So at 3.5 or 4%, a senior could have borrowed a lot more than they can borrow at 7%. So we're finding that our biggest drawback for our seniors, unfortunately, is last year when as somebody who was 62 could have borrowed 47, 48% of their home. Now they can only really borrow, 41, 42%. Unfortunately, though, somebody who's 75 or 80 can get closer to, 60%. So the older that you get, and that's why we base it on the youngest person in the household, the older that they get, the more money that they're going to have available for them, for sure. So that's the deal. Okay, I'm being waved off the stage. Thank you. Thank you very much, Joyce, for the opportunity to talk to you. Yep.
If anybody has additional questions, feel free to speak to Jim. And I think that, oftentimes these subjects are complex, and if you don't have a full understanding of how things work, again, you might form an opinion that's inaccurate. And I think that's why it's so important to work with people that know their business, they know their product, they know the ins and outs, to educate those of us that really don't have any idea how those things works, because I think there's a ton of benefits available to us that if we just had an expert explain them to us and help us put together a really effective plan, we could actually, really benefit from things that maybe we didn't think could benefit us. So thank you again, Jim, for presenting today. All right, let's do our raffle. And I actually have a client right now who's using a HECM loan. He's doing a reverse mortgage, but to make a purchase. And I wasn't the one who recommended that to him. He actually is working with a lender who has expertise and understanding of that. And when he sat down with my client based on his age and his income, it really was the best financial decision for him. And so I'm really excited to be able to help him purchase a home that he's going to be very happy in, and it's going to make financial sense for him. So, all right. Yes, let's give away some prizes. Mary Freeman. Yay. Yeah. You're welcome. Enjoy. Nice. Okay. Sarah Christ. Yay. You're welcome. Is that like a Victoria's Secrets bag or something like that? I know. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Just like a summer fun bag. I was like, it's pretty gender specific. Okay. All right. Yeah. I love it. I saw the black and white because that's pink and black and white. It's Victoria's Secret. Okay. Perfect. All right. Last one. Daniel Huff. Yeah, right on. All right, everybody. So next meet. Yeah. Get a pink helmet. Perfect. All right. So next month, Thursday, August 13th, we are going to have Amy Carroll of Golden Valley Health Centers. She will be speaking to us about the PACE, our program of all-inclusive care for elderly. It's a program that accepts Medicare, Medi-Cal, and allows frail seniors to remain at home, living with family while receiving medical care, physical therapy, meals, socialization, and activities, as well as transportation to and from their programs and appointments. It's a day program for seniors 55 plus. So looking forward to seeing all of you next month, and a reminder to come check out our table full of information for all our service providers. Thank you, everybody. Yes. Yes.